Om Jnana-timandasyana-chinanchana-shlaka Sakshan-vitam yena tasmai shigurave namah. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishnapastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamine Namaste Sarasvata Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskachai Tasatarane. Today we are continuing with our study of Nectar of Instruction, Upadeshamrita. It's the essence of the practice of devotional service in 11 verses. That in the first verse we heard that one who can control the urges of the tongue, the belly, the genitals, and so on, he can, one who controls his senses by engagement in devotional service, then such a person is a bona fide spiritual master and can make disciples all over the world. Now, to become such a Dhira, a spiritual master, when Krishna says 6 things not to do and 6 things to do, that and that's verse 2 and 3. And in verse 4, if we can follow this instruction 2 and 3, and then all the lust, anger, greed will disappear from our system, and we become peaceful, and we'll be able to engage in spiritual relationships between devotees. 6 kinds of engagements have been described: giving gifts, receiving gifts, sharing one's mind in confidence, hearing another devotee sharing one's mind in confidence, and offering prasad, receiving prasad. Then in text 5 we have heard that in order to practice these 6 loving exchanges, we must know who is advanced, who is not advanced, and deal appropriately with them. And text 5 says, one who only chants once the holy name of Krishna must be respected, at least within the mind. A devotee who has received initiation, we should offer obeisances. And to that devotee who is always engaged in unalloyed devotional service to the Supreme Lord, and who has given up the propensity to criticize others, that he's a pure devotee, and such the pure devotee one should serve such a pure devotee. That now in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, yes, that if someone is a neophyte and you are on a higher platform, then you should give them blessings and instructions. If you are on equal level, then you should share Krishna consciousness with each other and serve together. And when one is the most advanced is the Uttamadhikar is a spiritual master, and he instructs all the others. And this spiritual master should be served. So, but then in the next verse, verse 6, the verse we are finishing now, this verse says, warns for Vaishnava Aparadha. And I read it again. Being situated in his original Krishna conscious position, a pure devotee does not identify with the body. But such a devotee should not be seen from a materialistic point of view. Indeed, One should overlook a devotee having a body born in a low family, a body with a bad complexion, a deformed body, or a diseased or infirm body. According to ordinary vision, such imperfections may seem prominent in the body of a pure devotee, but despite such seeming defects, the body of a pure devotee cannot be polluted. It is exactly like the waters of the Ganges, which sometimes during the rainy season are full of bubbles, foam and mud. The Ganges waters do not become polluted. Those who are advanced in spiritual understanding will bathe in the Ganges without considering the condition of the water. So we have discussed this this verse last time. One should not consider imperfections in the body of a pure devotee. That is very dangerous. Prabhupada in the purport says, yeah, but one should not make a difference between an Indian sannyasi and a Western sannyasi just based on the skin. No, that is offensive. So yes, those who, and we were reading the last, at the end of the purport, we had still 2 paragraphs to go, and I will read them and we will discuss them before going to text 7. Because text 7 will explain how to chant this holy names, these nectarian holy names of the Lord 24 hours a day. But because of jaundice, one with jaundice cannot taste anything sweet. So like that, we don't have taste for the holy name, and it will present a remedy how to get a taste for the chanting of the holy name. That verse 8, that in verse 8, it is Rupa Goswami stresses that one should 24 hours a day become absorbed in Krishna and his pastimes, remembering his pastimes. And then in text 9, he comes up with a gradation in the spiritual world. He says you have Mathura, higher than Mathura is Vrindavan, higher than Vrindavan is Radha Kund, because it's a rendezvous place of Radha and Krishna and so on. That in verse 10, he gives a division of devotees. There he speaks about the jnani is the lowest, then after many births, Pauna Jnanamate Jnanama Papachante Vasev Sarvamiti Samatma Sudurlabha. After many births, one such a jnani comes to the conclusion Vasudeva is everything, and he becomes a devotee. So then one becomes a devotee, and among all the devotees, the pure devotees are the highest. And among the pure devotees, the gopis are the highest. And among the gopis, then Srimati Radharani is the highest. And then in verse 11, glorifies the last verse, glorifies Srimati Radharani and glorifies Radha Kund. And as an ideal place of become absorbed in love of God. That is all Upadeshamritam. But now we are text 6, avoiding this offense of Aparadha, seeing faults in a pure devotee because of bodily of bodily consciousness. So Prabhupada continues Those who think that Krishna consciousness is limited to a certain section of people, a certain section of devotees, or a certain tract of land, are generally prone to see the external features of the devotee. Yeah. Such neophytes, unable to appreciate the exalted service of the advanced devotee, try to bring the Mahabharata to their platform. We experience such difficulty in propagating this Krishna consciousness all over the world. Unfortunately, we are surrounded by neophyte godbrothers who do not appreciate the extraordinary activities of spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world. They simply try to bring us to their platform and they try to criticize us in every respect. We very much regret their native activities and poor fund of knowledge. An empowered person who is actually engaged in the confidential service of the Lord should not be treated as an ordinary being, for it is stated that unless one is empowered by Krishna, one cannot spread the Krishna consciousness movement all over the world. So this Prabhupada said, yeah, when he came back to India after spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world, some of his godbrothers criticized him. They did not appreciate his extraordinary empowered activity of spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world. One who does that is extraordinarily empowered by the Supreme Lord. And one should never think when not on the same platform of such a devotee. And that is Prabhupada. Prabhupada was on the highest platform. He was the purest among the pure devotees, the highest among the pure devotees. But no, they criticized him. Why are you allowing your disciples to call you Prabhupada? Why did you instruct them? Prabhupada said, I did not instruct them, but I explained to him the meaning of Prabhupada. Because that was one of the devotees. The devotees asked Prabhupada at a certain moment, how should we call you? We call you Swamiji, but this is a better, a higher or a more respectful address. And he gave names of Shiv Vishnupad, and also Prabhupada. Prabhupada means that the master at which lotus feet all the other masters surrenders. So he's a master of all the masters. Prabhupada. And that was his factual position. Also his spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Goswami Maharaj, Prabhupada, was also called Prabhupada. And some of his godbrothers, because of envy, could not take this. And they brought him because they were maybe, or some of them, many of them were senior to him. Because Prabhupada got, I think, initiation in 1933, I think. That he met his spiritual master in 1921 or 22. And 11 years later, he got initiation. But he waited quite some time, 11 years before receiving initiation. But therefore, many of his godbrothers were older, senior at a higher seniority in terms of initiation. So we should always be careful that also in our movement, we see that many Prabhupada disciples who are also spiritual masters, but they are not all not one is on the level of Prabhupada. But they are all lamps. Some lamps are brighter than the others. But none of them could claim to have been empowered by Krishna to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world, like Prabhupada did. No, he was on an extraordinary platform, and therefore it's so important that we recognize Srila Prabhupada as the founder Acharya in our movement. That is so important that we understand this exalted position among the spiritual masters. And we should not bring Srila Prabhupada to our platform. That is offensive. And I remember that at the end of the 70s, that when Prabhupada disappeared, the GBC appointed 12 zonal acharyas. They divided the world in 12 zones, and everyone in this zone had to take initiation of the zonal acharya. There was no choice. That's also a bit weird, but it was like that. That zonal acharya was acharya for a certain area. I don't know why they decided like that, but then we had that once one of these zonal acharyas in Europe at his Piazza Puja festival, and he was sitting on a Vyasasana on the same level as Prabhupada, and it was very, very opulent. So he considered him the next acharya for this zone, besides Prabhupada. But of course, that such thing is very offensive. And one should be aware of that, because this zonal acharya soon after that got implicated with a woman, I've heard. Went to America, took a lot of cash with him, and left our movement. So we see certainly they were not on a high spiritual platform. So that is dangerous. And that's so with senior devotees who are long in our movement, who are advanced, we should be very careful not to commit offenses. And that unfortunately in our movement, this culture is not highly appreciated, and we find a lot of offensive content on the media. Recently, because I'm a sannyasi, they include me in a set of receivers of 300 senior devotees all over the world, and they make their complaints and put forward their offenses. And devotees are asking, please remove me from this discussion thread, but they are not doing that. It's just not the right way to do this public forum. You are multiplying your offenses so many times. It's very, very dangerous, this for our spiritual life. There are surely a lot of things to be dealt with in our movement, but let the appropriate leaders deal with it. And there is a complaint system, a juridical system, and so on in place. for those who don't agree, that is all there, and that should be followed. Now, that when one criticizes a pure devotee, what happens? When one does criticize a pure devotee, he commits an offense, Vaishnava Aparadha. That is very obstructive and dangerous for those who desire to advance in Krishna consciousness. A person cannot derive any spiritual benefit when he offends the lotus feet of a Vaishnava. Everyone should therefore be careful not to be jealous of an empowered Vaishnava or Suddha Vaishnava. It is also an offense to consider an empowered Vaishnava an object of disciplinary action. It is offensive to try to give him advice or to correct him. One can distinguish between a neophyte Vaishnava and an advanced Vaishnava by their activities. The advanced Vaishnava is always situated as the spiritual master, and the neophyte is always considered his disciple. The spiritual master must not be subjected to the advice of a disciple, nor should the spiritual master be obliged to take instructions from those who are not his disciples. This is the sum and substance of Srila Rupa Goswami's advice in the 6th verse. Of course, to understand who is an advanced Vaishnava and who not, it's not such an easy thing. And that we have seen, if there is no sufficient education in our movement, people will make offenses. It are the neophytes who make offenses and block their spiritual advancement. And sometimes for a long time, that they lose taste in spiritual life. So before we go to text 7, are there any questions on this subject matter? Anyone has any questions?
Maharaj, so sometimes we may have to suggest to senior devotees, then what should be the way we can do that?
And that Bhakti Charamaj explains that in his Vaishnava etiquette seminar. If a devotee was much senior to us, we think he needs correction, or we don't understand why he acts in such a way. We should first consult one of his godbrothers or godsisters and ask, look, this devotee is acting like this. Can you explain me why? So you ask a question and you ask advice. Don't criticize. You ask a question and you ask advice. But of course, it depends of time, place, and circumstances. If one is in a position like temple president, then you are in a position of an authority. You can correct, but it's better to be careful with it, because sometimes we have our perception and we project an inner attitude in the heart of the person which is not there. So we have to be careful with that we cannot judge people from the devotee from the inside, but from the outside, we may not understand why this devotee is acting in that way. And ask a godbrother, please explain, why is your godbrother acting like that? I don't understand. And you can also ask, what should I do now? And I'm in a position of I have a managerial position here, and I'm responsible for it. So how should I now deal with it? So it's good to seek the guidance of those who are on the same platform or of seniority. And I don't mean to say on a more advanced spiritual platform that we don't know, that we should not judge that, not judge that just by short-time observation. On a long-term observation, you can see that a person acts as an automatica, but that needs some time. So yes, of course, it becomes more complicated if there are many issues involved and histories and intrigues. But yes, we are in Kali Yuga, and don't think spiritual management in a material afflicted world is going to be easy. Therefore, management is for those who are advanced, who are not too quickly disturbed by these things. Otherwise, spiritual life becomes very difficult. Does that help?
Yes, Maharaj. Yeah, certainly. Maharaj. Thank you so much.
It's not an easy subject. Anything else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, I have a question.
Yes, Chant.
Thank you. So for mental offenses, especially against a pure devotee, thinking critically of somebody, sometimes the mind begins to criticize before you even know it. I heard somewhere, and I don't know if this is bona fide, but that in Kali Yuga, mental offenses are not held against us. Have you heard that? Could you speak about that for a moment?
Yeah. So you have verbal offenses, you have mental offenses, physical offenses even, but mental offenses are offenses in the mind. It's true that in Kali Yuga, this will not have a reaction. That's a special feature of Kali Yuga. Otherwise, it would be very difficult. In other ages, it would have a reaction even. So you can imagine, but it does not mean if you make a mental offense that this is good for your spiritual advancement. You will have no reaction, but it will block your spiritual advancement. This is another factor. So it's not good. Although it's not counted in terms of action reaction, it's counted by Krishna in your heart that you make a mental offense, your advancement is blocked. It is an offensive mentality, and it's counted as one of the 10 offenses against the holy name. But yes, so like we have Shoti Haridas was a renunciate in one of the associates of Lord Chaitanya. But when he went to get back rice from a beautiful woman, and in his mind he desired sexual enjoyment with her, that then immediately Lord Chaitanya rejected him from his intimate association. That because he knew the intention was wrong. Intention comes up into the mind. Although one does not get a karmic reaction, it's not good for one's spiritual life. that we have Anya Bilastasyunam Jnanakarmatanavtam Anakulyana Krishna Shilanam Bhaktautama. One should practice devotional service with the intention to please Krishna. So that is internally, that intention to please Krishna. That Sisupali, he blasphemed Krishna. That was really an offense that came out. It was not mental. But external offenses starts with internal wrong attitudes. That's the point. And that, like Jesus Christ said, yes, if someone just thinks of having a sexual affair, thinks and plans to have a sexual affair with another wife, with another woman than one's wife, one has already committed adultery, he says. So that is the point. It's the seed of the offense that unless it comes out, no karmic reaction. But this wrong attitude is destructive for your spiritual life and blocks your spiritual advancement. Does that explain things, Sharanatharan?
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good. Okay, then we will start with verse 7 then, if no one has questions further. Good. So, text 7. Syat Krishna nama sarita disitapya vidya pito patapta rasanaya narochikachnu kintfadarat anudinam kalushe vayusta svatvi kamat bhavati gat mulahantri. And the synonyms that Syat is Krishna, of Lord Krishna. Nama, the holy name. Shaita Adi, character, pastimes, and so forth. Shita, sugar candy. Api, although. Avidya, of ignorance. Pita, by the bile. Upatapta, afflicted. Rasanaya, of the tongue. Na, not. Roshika, palatable. No, oh, how wonderful it is. Kintu, but. Adarat, carefully. Anudinam, every day. Or 24 hours daily. Kalu, naturally. Sya, that, sugar candy of the holy name. Eva, certainly. Shusta, taken or chanted. Svatvi, relishable. Kamat, gradually. Bhavati, becomes. That gada, of that disease. Mula, of the root. Hantri, the destroyer. So the holy name, character, pastimes, and activities of Krishna are all transcendently sweet like sugar candy. Although the tongue of one afflicted by jaundice of avidya, ignorance, cannot taste anything sweet, it is wonderful that simply by carefully chanting the sweet names every day, a natural relish awakens within his tongue, and his disease is surely destroyed to the root. So, like one who is afflicted by jaundice, if he eats sweet, it tastes bitter. But if he continues to take sweet, then surely one will cure the disease, and surely the taste will come sweet again. And that is the analogy used here, the importance of constantly chanting the holy name. But it says in the holy name, character, pastimes, and activities of Krishna. Both. Of course, the character, pastimes, and activities are identical to the holy name also. So we will read now the first paragraph. The holy name of Lord Krishna, his quality, pastime, and so forth, are all the nature of the absolute truth, beauty, and bliss. Naturally, they are very sweet, like sugar candy, which appeals to everyone. Nations, however, is compared to the disease called jaundice, which is caused by bilious secretions. Attacked by jaundice, the tongue of a diseased person cannot palatably relish sugar candy. Rather, a person with jaundice considers something sweet to taste very bitter. Avidya, ignorance, similarly perverts the ability to relish the transcendental palatable name, quality, form, and pastimes of Krishna. Despite this disease, if one with great care and attention takes to Krishna consciousness, chanting the holy name and hearing Krishna's transcendental pastimes, his ignorance will be destroyed and his tongue enabled to taste the sweet of the transcendental nature of Krishna and his paraphernalia. Such recovery of spiritual health is possible only by the regular cultivation of Krishna consciousness. Dus here you have the word avidya, ignorance, that discovers our consciousness. This avidya. So this avidya is the mode of passion and ignorance. That because we are covered by it, the chanting of the holy name is very bitter. It tastes very bitter. And that so many times we chant holy name, there is some taste because we continue chanting, but we don't relish the sweetness of the holy name. That the taste is not coming. That taste is not coming because offenses are made out of ignorance, avidya. Therefore, to overcome these offenses, we must also hear the Srimad Bhagavatam every day. Then we get to know more about Krishna's nature and our nature, and gradually it helps to remove our ignorance. This is also explained in Srimad Bhagavatam in the first canto, that second chapter. There you have, of course, it starts with the process how to remove this avidya. Nastrave Zabhadresu Nityam Bharata Sevya Bharvatu Tamaske Bhaktir Bhavati Naisiki. It says, regular attendance of the class of the Bhagavatam and rendering service to the pure devotee. Two activities that removes this avidya. Then all that is troublesome to the heart is nearly completely destroyed. And when this avidya is gone, then loving service unto the personality of God that we praise with transcendental songs is established as an irrevocable fact. And then the next point is Tatora Jastamobhava Kamalobhas Dayasayi Setera Teranavitam Stitven Satve Prashidati. As soon as irrevocable loving service is established in the heart, the effects of nature, modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering, disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness and he becomes completely happy. So when goodness means this taste comes. If one chants without offenses, without tension, one reads the Bhagavatam daily, serves the spiritual master. One does these three, then surely this desire for hankering in this material world disappears. And one comes completely happy. That so avidya, that takes away our ability to taste the holy name. But then in the purpose, Prabhupada says one should take to Krishna consciousness, chanting the holy name and hearing Krishna's transcendental pastimes. That's this combination. Krishna's pastimes are in the Bhagavatam, but to understand and to realize that one's heart must be pure. So therefore, the first 9 cantos prepare us for Krishna's pastimes, or one's direct pastimes 5,000 years ago, because in principle, the creation of the world is also his pastime. That then we hear about all this in the Bhagavatam. So that combination is required. And then our ignorance will be destroyed. And the tongue will be able to taste this transcendental nature of Krishna and his paraphernalia, just by chanting his holy name with great attention in this purified consciousness, that free from ignorance. And that then, if one can enable this great taste, then one chants the Sudanam. When one is in Suddha Sattva, transcendental goodness, not just goodness, but first all this passion and ignorance must be removed before we can take it. And thus, anartha-nivritti is a slow process of devotional service in which day by day we are removing it. But it's like as you remove, that like we are in a hospital, that as we follow the cure, we get better, better, and better. So if we follow the process nicely, then our taste will gradually increase. And then we get full health back. Such a recovery of health is possible only by the regular cultivation of Krishna consciousness. When a man in the material world takes more interest in the materialistic way of life than in Krishna consciousness, he is considered to be in a diseased condition. The normal condition is to remain an eternal servant of the Lord. Shivera Svarupa Hare Krishna Nityadas. This healthy condition is lost when the living entity forgets Krishna due to being attracted by the external feature of Krishna's Maya energy. This world of Maya is called Durachaya, which means false or bad shelter. One who puts his faith in Durachaya becomes a candidate for hoping against hope. In the material world, everyone is trying to become happy, and although their material attempts are baffled in every way, due to their nations, they cannot understand their mistakes. People try to rectify one mistake by making another mistake. This is the way of struggle for existence in the material world. If one in this condition is advised to take to Krishna consciousness and be happy, he does not accept such instructions. So we are not accepting the instructions of Maya. Maya is in our mind and makes so many proposals and as we advance, Maya's proposals become always more finer and finer. So one must be very, very careful not to associate with this illusory energy. Therefore, it's advised that we always stay in the association of devotees. That if we are many devotees together, we are strong. If we are alone with our mind, Maya will get us. So we should never put our faith in the material energy. The material energy will just will just cheat us. That is the material energy. It cheats us in so many ways. Do this and that, and you become happy. And we see this Maya to the publicity world. You need that, you need that. But it's all a cause of trouble. That we don't need anything in this world. We are spiritual beings. Just sufficient to have a simple life, to make just and focus, so that we can focus on making spiritual advancement. Therefore, in the second verse, so we heard already, Atyara Payashasya Prajalpa. Yeah, Atyahara, don't eat more more than needed, because then Maya comes. Immediately Maya is there. If you come, eat more. But the Atyara Payas over endeavoring for things in this material world which are difficult to obtain. This is, and then Prajalpa, that criticizing others and speaking only about sensual enjoyment with others, and that of criticizing others. This is the world of Maya, and therefore we have this that will all lead more or less to breaking the principles of devotional service. It will deviate us from the chanting, from the devotional practice, which should be the goal of our life, not these things. But Durasraya, Durasraya means asraya, dur asra, false of bad shelter. That, like Prabhupada gave many times, the mirage in the desert. Yeah, it's a reflection of water, and we think we will get water, but when we come near to it, it disappears, and we die of thirst. That we didn't find the oasis that we were expecting. And the same with relationships in this world. We think to derive so much pleasure of relationships, but it turns always into frustration. At one point it becomes very, very bitter, and you must tolerate a lot to stay together. And that is a reality. This relationships, spiritual relationships, means supporting each other in spiritual life, and that's it. That's the basis of spiritual relationships. Any other motive makes it material. So this is the lot of Maya, and Prabhupada people try to rectify one mistake by making another mistake. Yeah. Sometimes devotees think, when I change my external situation, I will be in a better situation. I go to Vrindavan, there I can become Krishna conscious. But they go to Vrindavan, and they are in the same Maya, because Maya travels with them in their minds. Because this Maya means our material desires. They don't disappear when you go to Vrindavan, and then they make offenses in Vrindavan, what makes it worse. So we have to be very careful that not trying to adjust our material situation to get a better position for spiritual advancement. Queen Kunti was praying to Krishna, please let all these calamities always come, because these calamities are there. That's a good material position, because then I take shelter of you, because I will not forget you during all these calamities. But when everything becomes good, then we think, oh, okay, life is good. no impetus for spiritual advancement, which is very dangerous, because nothing is ever good in this world. Yeah, your heart can stop beating every moment, can be finished every moment. That so many diseases can come every moment. That is reality. So, any questions or comments? We went through the first two paragraphs. We read the last two paragraphs of the previous and the first two paragraphs of the next verse. Yes, any questions?
I have a comment.
Okay.
I liked when you said that that relationships can be frustrating, but that every relationship should be to help you towards, help each other towards spirituality.
Right. That's correct.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But sometimes, yeah, I guess that's why you have to be with devotees, but when it's not always possible, so you should just be by yourself? Or how do you still enjoy, being in the world if you enjoy people and also like to serve?
Yeah, that is. Yeah, for us, if there is no devotees around, we should at least take advantage of the internet as much as possible and associate there. Of course, yeah, if we want to enjoy the material energy and also become Krishna conscious at the same time, that's called sahaja, taking Krishna consciousness cheap. Because when your attachment to this world is high, your spiritual life is low. As you become attracted to Krishna, your attachment from this world comes down. Then you become detached from this world. But we cannot like this, have both at the same time. That's not possible. That is the mentality of a cheater, which is described in Bhagavad Gita. In Bhagavad Gita, I think it's in the 3rd chapter, text 7, they explained cheating, and in the 6th chapter, I think, just a moment, coming there of Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3. Yeah, text 6. Karmendriya samyanya ya asti manasasman indiyartam vimudatma mityachara sauchate. One who restrains the senses of action, but whose mind dwells on the sense objects, surely deludes himself and is called a pretender, Prabhupada says. Prabhupada says, writes in the purport, there are many pretenders who refuse to work in Krishna consciousness, but make a show of meditation while actually dwelling within their mind upon sense enjoyment. Such pretenders may also speak on dry philosophy in order to bluff sophisticated followers. But according to this verse, these are the greatest cheaters. For sense enjoyment, one can act in any capacity of the social order. But if one follows the rules and regulations of his particular status, he can make early progress in purifying his existence. But he who makes a show of being a yogi while actually searching for the object of sense gratification must be called the greatest cheater. Even though sometimes speak philosophy, his knowledge has no value because the effects of such a sinful man's knowledge are taken away by the illusory energy of the Lord. Such a pretender's mind is always impure, and therefore the show of yogic meditation has no value whatsoever. So in the beginning of spiritual life, we are pretenders. That's what we are in the beginning. But we have to progress. That at the end of the next purport, Prabhupada writes, a sincere sweeper in the street is far better than the charlatan meditator who meditates only for the sake of making a living. So Prabhupada calls it also a show bottle spiritualism. Because when Prabhupada was in New York, he came at a liquor shop, and there was a big bottle but there was nothing inside, just to show, with a monster bottle, just to show that, but there was nothing inside. So spiritual advancement means that in the heart we have devotion, love for Krishna, and not the desire to enjoy this world. If you have the desire to enjoy this world, there can be no devotion. We can try to show that devotion at the outside, but if when it's not inside, if we want something else in this world, and that is called renunciation. And real renunciation is becoming attached to Krishna. And then you give up all these material desires. And that comes surely automatic as we become attracted to Krishna. We'll lose the desire for anything in this world. Does that help?
That does help. It does open another question. So, like, let's say for your health, you like to enjoy a sport where you interact with other people. Like, can you not use that? Like, I try to use, when I am in the material world or like with other people, I try to let my light shine. Like, I try to be like an example, and show, what dedication I have. I've only been doing this since January, learning about this. And I do spend about 3 hours a day on Zoom calls. So, but, so like, for example, I like to play pickleball, and I get a lot of, health benefits from doing that. And yeah, I just feel like it's a game where you really get to know people's personalities, and sometimes people behave in certain ways, and I've had incidents where I've been able to show people kind of their darkness, or they show the darkness, but I'm able to react in certain ways that the person has like a transformation, let's say, like an awakening. Like, does that mean, like, is that okay? Or does that mean like I can't even go and participate in with non-Krishna people, Krishna consciousness people?
Well, of course, better with devotees, but it depends on your motivation. It's your motivation for your health, so that you can use your body, you maintain your body to better to serve Krishna, or to maintain it to serve Krishna, or you do it to enjoy that, or is it a mixture? That usually it's a mixture, but
Yes.
the idea is to come to the purity, do it only for the pleasure of Krishna. Krishna, I want to maintain this body nicely, therefore I'm doing that. So like after this call, I'm going to make a walk, 6 kilometers walk to the forest for my health. But I'm chanting Hare Krishna at the same time. and we may meet people and speak about Krishna. That happens sometimes, but as always with a Krishna conscious purpose, that we are not this body, that this sport and this body and so on. Sport can be used to keep the body healthy. But Prabhupada, when we ask Prabhupada yoga, should we do yoga? That Prabhupada said not necessary. In the morning you have Mangalarti and you dance before the deities, you jump up, and that's our morning gymnastic that then keeps us healthy. And yeah, so many practical service. We have to use our body for that. Devotees are always very busy, but that keeps them healthy. That, of course, does not mean you don't have to take care of your health in various ways. Prabhupada said health first. So it's important to do sport if that's necessary, or to do yoga or make walks. That, but no frivolous plays or competitions. Or that a devotee maintains his gravity also in these things. That playing mentality is not really what a devotee should do. Is that this competition and so on. Does that help?
Right. It does, yeah.
Okay.
And I understand the thing about competition. I almost never liked competition.
Yeah.
I like to play. I play for the fun of it, but for the exercise and
Yeah.
the enjoyment with other people. But yeah, the competition kind of ruins it if it's all about that, for sure.
Okay. Good. Thank you. I was happy to be with you today, and I'm looking forward to be online again on Friday. Now I'm in Radhadesh in Belgium, and then I will be in Kolokadam in Germany next Friday. Hare Krishna. Jai Prabhupada.
Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.